Joining us today is Wayne Breitbarth. He is a LinkedIn expert and author of the Power Formula for LinkedIn Success. And we're so glad he can join us today. I'm going to kick the mic over to him and let him take over today's presentation. So thanks, Wayne.
It's great to be back, Jesse. Back with Patina Nation. I love that. And I am looking forward to our time together. We have a power-packed half hour, I would say, between the the formal part of our presentation and like, how many questions did we get in with the pre?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot to mention that. We had over 100 questions submitted in advance to today's webinar. So we will try and get to as many questions as time allows. But if we don't get to your question, we'll share Wayne's contact information.
Yes, and feel free to do that. You know, usually after these webinars, people will send me questions, and that's great. It's fair game. I'd love to help you any way that I can. And typically I've got an article that I wrote or something to address your question, or maybe we'll set up a little short phone call too. So feel free to do that. So here's what I got for you today. Let me just set this up. In the last couple of weeks, as I've been doing consultations and doing some networking, I've been running into people who say, my year hasn't been so good. I didn't find my job, or I'm not selling enough, or my company hasn't grown the way I wanted it to in the first half of the year. And it usually comes down to this question: Wayne, what could I do on LinkedIn to have something happen? So, and I like to call that, you're asking for the low-hanging fruit. What's the low-hanging fruit on LinkedIn? How can you get results fast? And I'm thinking about, in terms of, as we sit here in July, how could we make sure that by the end of the year, some of the things we do today make a difference in what you're trying to accomplish? So today's program is 5 specific techniques and strategies. I'm not suggesting that you do them all. If you did, that's great. But I'm suggesting you pick the 2 or 3 that make sense with the kind of network you have and the time frame you have, and really the kind of goals that you're trying to set. These are good for job seekers. These are good for consultants. These are good for solopreneurs. They're good for business owners. They're also good for sales folks and nonprofits. So in all of these strategies can be used regardless of the kind of industry or what you're trying to accomplish on LinkedIn. Okay, so we will be sending along an article with the recording that outlines the 5 steps in a lot of detail, and each of the 5, not steps, the 5 strategies include then a link to another article that gives you real detailed step on, click here, do this, click here, say this. Okay, so I couldn't put all that into one article, so call this sort of a summary article that will then send you to other articles where you'll be able to get a lot of detail about how to do all 5 of these things. Now, the other thing I want to frame this around is this: all the things I'm going to show you today are free. Okay, I'm not showing you anything that requires a paid subscription on LinkedIn. Although, as many of you know, searches are sometimes limited on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn likes to push us into a premium account to avoid what they call the commercial use limit. But you can usually do enough searches if you're very strategic in how you do your searches each calendar month before, let's say, they kick you off, right? So everything is going to be free, and I'm going to be showing you my LinkedIn account with specific things that I've done. And to save the keystrokes, I've set up some of these so that I can review with you the filters and the choices I made. But I'm just to save the time, because we're on a tight schedule with only a half an hour here. I've done the searches for you already. So let's start with the very first strategy. The first strategy is for you to reach out to targeted members of your already in your network. And this one comes up because I see so many people who, when I'm doing consultations, I see they got a good size network, and I'll say, are there people in there that need to know what's going on with you, what you'd like to do, where you're trying to work, what customers you're trying to look for? Are there people in your network that probably would help you, but you just haven't got around to pinging them? And so this step is for you to think about your target audience and do a LinkedIn search that's very specific to that target audience. But it revolves around you doing a first degree search. So let me show you what that looks like. So here's this. I'll open up the filters. And by the way, how you get to the filters on LinkedIn is you put the cursor in the search box and you click for people. And then you open up the box that says all filters. Now, like I mentioned, I set these searches up so I wouldn't have to take time to type, but you can do every one of these. And the filters that for this strategy is click first degree, click Milwaukee, click construction, and click people that run construction companies. So the strategy on this one was somebody came to me just this past week and said, I'm trying to find a job or grow my business, my consulting business around meeting with construction owners of companies in the Milwaukee area. So this was the exact search that I did with them. Notice in the title box, I'm using various terms that people use to describe themselves as the owner or the top person in the organization. You've got to be smart about how you do these searches and use Boolean search logic. So here I use president or CEO or founder or owner. And you could even add or director or board member. I mean, you got to think through whatever you're trying to accomplish. The titles might be different for really what you think is, well, I just want the top person in the organization. And in this case, it was construction and first degree in Milwaukee. So when I hit apply, what comes up is this beautiful list. In this case, it's 72 people. And the strategy behind this is, okay, here's this list. They're people that are already in Wayne Breitbarth's network. What should I do with them? Now, I know you're raising your hand going, Wayne, can I send a message out to all 72 with the push of one button? Guess what? The answer to that is no. And that answer is there to protect yourself. In other words, think about it. If we were allowed to blast messages on LinkedIn, how much time would you want to spend on LinkedIn? Because you get blasted like every 2 minutes. So LinkedIn has this feature. It's like speed bump in that we have to do the messaging one at a time. And I really think it's for our benefit. So go through this list and decide how you're going to approach these folks that you're already connected to set up a meeting, set up a phone call, share some new information, send a link to your website, add attachments, whatever you're trying to accomplish. Okay. So great feature, but it works for people that know that they've built out a nice network of people that already are in the space that they are occupying, the industry and the city and whatever. And the people will help you. Now, it doesn't do me any good to send a message to somebody on this list that I don't know very well. So you have to stick to the fact that you're going to message people that you know pretty well. Okay, so that's the first one. And by the way, there's a worksheet that's going to be attached to the show notes that shows you a target audience worksheet that I think you'll really be very helpful for doing this step. Okay, on to number two. Number two is to leverage the network of your current clients or other referral sources. So I call this the referral strategy on LinkedIn. And great news is there is also going to be a worksheet with the link in the show notes with a really good worksheet to how to do these exact steps. But it boils down to this one tool on LinkedIn, this one filter that most people have not found on LinkedIn, and it's called the Connections Of. It's taking advantage of this box and this filter called Connections Of, where you drop in the name of a friend, a connection, a client, and you want to dig into their network without having to scroll through every person and get to the right list of people. So in this case, I picked Joe Jones, a friend of mine, greater Milwaukee area. I use CEO, president, founder, very similar to the other one, but just to show you how Boolean search works a little differently. I put parentheses around those titles, but I also added not vice, so I wouldn't get the vice presidents. Just an extra technique that you might not have known that you can use to make the list even better. And then I hit apply, come up with a list of 168 people that meet that search criteria. These are people that are in Joe Jones's network that I may want to discuss with him the possibility of meeting these people or having an introduction or getting his permission to send a LinkedIn connection request or an email or a phone call into these folks using his name, because we chatted about how we might be able to work together or help because they were applying for a job at their company or whatever. Okay. So number two is leverage the networks of your current clients. And the key to this one is in all filters using this filter called Connections Of. And what's really neat about this filter, everybody, is this filter also exists on the mobile app. The mobile app does not have all 14 of these filters, but it does have six or seven, I think. And this one is one of the ones we get on the mobile app. So that's number two. This technique alone, I find many consultants, accountants, bankers, insurance agents, attorneys, they love this feature because they're always looking for a way to zoom in on referrals instead of just asking their clients, hey, anybody in your network I should talk to? Do your homework, come up with the list, talk to your referral source. Okay, number three. Number three is, and this is a little tricky, this one, set up LinkedIn search alerts for the target audience you're trying to get to. And this is, like I mentioned in the article, this is your way to have a 24/7 LinkedIn virtual assistant. And it is still on free LinkedIn. So let me show you what that looks like. Once again, we use all filters. In this case, I did Milwaukee. I did people in the IT space, and I was looking for an engineer. But I'm not looking for just an engineer. I'm looking for also the manager or director of the engineering department in an IT-related company in the Milwaukee area. But then I also dropped in the word product in the search box at the top because I'm looking for a product engineer, an engineer that specifies things into the product at their company. And the reason you want to make sure you have to use this top search box in addition to the filters is because look what just showed up on the right-hand side. It was not there before. You have to use the top search box in addition to the filters. Why? Who knows? It's LinkedIn. But once you do that, the create search alert box will pop open, allowing you to set up a weekly search alert where every week you get an email. So let me give you an example of what that could look like. So let's say you've looked at this list of 373 people and you've worked through the list. It's been a good list for you, but you want to make sure that you keep track of these kinds of folks that are either moving into Milwaukee or getting a promotion or a new title. Okay, something had to change for them to come into the list new, and you're going to know about it each and every week. And you can do is you can have 3 saved searches always working for you at any one time. Okay, 3 saved searches. You can always edit them and then revise them, but you get 3 that work for you at any one time. Now, when you're on premium, you get more searches. You get more saved search alerts. This is a home run feature, a little hard to get to, as you could tell. But once you figure out your 3 searches, if you're busy this week, you're going to get an email from LinkedIn saying, hey, Wayne, there's 2 new people that meet your search criteria. And now you decide by looking at their profile what you want to do as the next step. And of course, what are the next steps? Send a connection request, introduce yourself, invite them to something, send them a piece of content, share something from your website. So the bottom line is all of these techniques really are, these lists are nice that LinkedIn lets us build, but we got to do something with them. And that's usually a connection request or a follow-up message of some sort. So that's number 3, set up your search alerts. Home run feature. If you want to give a friend of yours the 3 alerts because you don't want to use them, your friend will take them. No, I'm just kidding. But the point is people usually want more search alerts once they figure this tool out. It's free. Take advantage of it. Follow the steps. You'll just love this. Okay, number 4. Let's see. Yeah, so you get 3 on free LinkedIn. And you'll get, I think if you're on premium, you get 5 of these search alerts. And I'm on Sales Navigator and I get 15. So like most of the things that go from free to premium, LinkedIn gives you just more of the stuff that you like to do. Thanks for that question, Doug. Okay, next one. And number 4 is to make sure that your profile includes specific calls to action. So the point is this: profiles are important marketing tool on LinkedIn, aren't they? But you really want people to do something after they review your profile. And what does a call to action look like? I'll show you an example on my profile. And this is one of my job entries. By the way, a question came in about multiple job entries. And my strategy is always this: have all the job entries you need for every different revenue stream that you have. So if you're a consultant, but you also do speaking, or you also do workshops, to me, that's 3. And you also wrote a book, that's 4. Why? So that you can have 2,000 characters for every single job entry. So this is one of my speaking entries where I like to reference that I'm a member of National Speakers Association. I start off this one in an interesting way with a nice quote to start off, really, hit them between the eyes with a great quote, and then talk about the kinds of talks that I do and who I speak to. And then I close with a written call to action. And then I show 2 pieces of media, which are basically calls to action too, because it says, watch me in action, watch LinkedIn save searches. The word watch, the word call, those are action steps. So think about how you can place calls to action throughout your profile. They make a lot of sense in the job sections. But I've seen people have call to actions in their headline. That's appropriate. It's really appropriate to have calls to action anywhere you think that you've got a reader excited about what they're reading and you want them to take another step. So that's number 4. Revise your profile, include some specific calls to action. And number 5 is to engage directly with your LinkedIn users who have either done one of 2 things. They've looked at your profile or they've invited you to connect. And the reason I highlight these two action steps from the other person on LinkedIn is because this is where they take the first step. Okay? They sent you an invite or they look at your profile. That's your opportunity to do something with those folks. And now the 2 places that I'm speaking of are who's viewed your profile and inbound invitations. Here's what I'd like you to think about in both of those spots. Don't just look at those lists of people and go, yeah, there's some spammers in there. There will be spammers in there. I'm not speaking to the spammers. Leave them alone, hit the ignore button, move on. But there's going to be plenty of other people in there that have checked out your profile because maybe a friend told them to, or you showed up in a search, whatever. Point is this, these 2 features, inbound invitations and who's viewed your profile, are your opportunity to take a step. And that's either accept the connection request, but don't just accept the connection request. Take the next step and send them a message and say, hey, thanks for the connection request. I can tell by your profile that you might be interested in hearing about this. Let's love to have a phone call to talk about that. Or here's a link to my website where you can see what I do and how I help people like you. So take this opportunity and make something happen in both cases, okay? So number 5 is engage. Don't just look at these lists and go, that's nice, LinkedIn's working for me. It's not working for you unless you engage. So number 5 is to take action on who's viewed your profile and invitations whenever those people meet your target audience. All right, very good. So let's just review. We'll review all 5 of them quickly. Be sure to grab the articles and the worksheets that go with them. And we're going to do questions now. They are stacking up. I can't wait. I love this part. Number 1 is to make sure you spend time doing a targeted search of people in your network and using the message feature to reach out to those folks. Number 2 is to leverage the network of your client or referral source. That's using the Connections Of box. Number 3 is to set up some search alerts so you get your 24/7 virtual assistant working for you. Number 4 is to revise your profile, include some specific calls to action. And number 5 is to engage directly with people who have either looked at your profile or have sent you a connection request. Okay, here we go. What do we got here? Damn, which one? Here we go. What number? So Lisa asked, what number of connections would you say is a good size network? Well, Lisa, the answer to that is the perfect network that's got the right people for you. There isn't a number, but I will tell you this. The search engine, the algorithm, and how that all works, likes more is better. Is it 200? Well, 200 is better than 50. So if you got 50 and you get to 200, you're going to do better in the search algorithm. If you got 500, 1,000 is better than 500. But the key on the connections is, are most of the people in your network in your target audience? So that's the key. The key isn't the size as much as, are they in your target audience? And yes, you'll have your friends from church and you'll have your neighbors and your coworkers. Those are fine, except strategically, we all should be building bigger networks, but bigger very strategically. Thanks for that question. That was a good one. Here's another one. I want to clean, this came from Vicky. I want to clean up my connections to people I know. Do I want to clean up my connections with people I know or do business with? What's the best way to do that? Should I unfollow them or remove them? So let's step back and talk about cleaning out connections. Here's my strategy on cleaning out connections. Don't, unless the person either is hurting you or has become competitive with what you're trying to do and they weren't before. Why? Because the algorithm likes more connections, and every first degree you have gives you more second degrees and gives you more third degrees, which will help you end up higher in searches. So I wouldn't just prune the garden just to prune the garden. Or like the other day, a guy said, hey, I cut my network back from 1,000 to 500 because I didn't know half the people. I said, well, were some of the 500 potential decision makers? Yeah, but I didn't know them. I said, you made a mistake, my friend. Do not eliminate your network, especially with people that might buy your products and services or hire you, or if they might know people who might buy your products and services or hire you. Now, if people are spamming, and that's a different story. Then you should get rid of them. Okay, next question. This comes from Anna. What is your criteria for accepting invitations from people you don't know? Okay, so this is a good one, Anna. Here's how I would approach people that I don't know. I'd look at their profile. And by looking at that profile, I'd ask myself this question. If I met this person tonight at a networking event through the chamber, might we have a good conversation? And that usually means that something on the profile resonated with you and what you're trying to accomplish, or what it looks like they're trying to accomplish. Could you help them? And in that case, I probably would say yes. And I'd send a message after I accepted and asked them really what their question was. Was there a specific reason they wanted to connect? And just sort of get the conversation going. Now, are there spammers? There's spammers. Hit ignore just as fast as you can. Okay. All right. Here's a good one. I think this is my friend Bob Hill. He's got 30,000 connections. I can't add anymore. What do you suggest I do? So all you can do, Bob, if that's you, it says P Hill. I'm sure it's Bob, because I know you're maxed out. You can put the follow button up on instead of the connect button on your profile, which means that people will then only have the option to follow you. So at least they'll see your stuff. Or you can start going through those 30,000. And my guess is with 30,000 that you could eliminate a bunch of them that are not in your target audience. I mean, if you don't do business in somewhere across the pond, then maybe you don't need those people in your network, especially because it's stopping you from adding people now that you'd like to add. So what's probably happened over the years is your strategy has changed a little bit and gone different directions, Bob. And I would refocus in on the kind of people I want to meet with and maybe get rid of a few thousand and free up some space in that 30,000. It's a good question, though, because some people are starting to approach that kind of number. Now, for those of you who are not at 30,000, don't think that there's a prize. Bob did not get a prize, and I didn't get a prize for my 22,000. And those numbers should not have you think that you need those kind of numbers to succeed on LinkedIn. You do not. Remember, I'm doing it because I want to sell a lot of books and help a lot of people at LinkedIn. And that's why I have a bigger network. And Bob might have his own strategy for being at that level. So let's see. Let's see if we get a couple more. Here's one from Randy. Can you see who's viewed your profile without a premium account? Yes, you can, Randy. Here's the if, Randy, you got to have your setting right. So on the free account, let me show you that. On the free account, in order to see who's viewed your profile, you got to go into your settings in the privacy section and slide down to profile viewing options. And you have to make sure that you're set on the top of the three choices. If you're one of these bottom two, you will not be able to see who looked at you on free account. If you do, you'll be able to see the last 5 people that stalked at you, but you're only going to be able to see the information that stalker wanted you to see, maybe not their full name and title. You may just see it anonymous or someone at. But you just got to make sure this setting is right. For those of us on premium, we get a chance to see 90 days worth of stalkers. All right, here we go. One more. Sharon, how can you tell if it's a spammer on a LinkedIn invite? Good one, Sharon. There is no sign or billboard or neon light above their head or in the picture box. It's this. And this isn't 100% that this will be the thing, but I would go through this process, Sharon. If you see no picture, you see very few connections, you see a very sparse profile, or you see a picture that actually you think is a famous person and hardly any information on the profile, your antenna should go up to say that probably isn't a real person and it's somebody actually setting up a fake account. And they basically usually just want to come get your email address. So That's how I would approach it. But really, you ought to be tighter than that too, right? I mean, earlier we said, if you look at their profile, is there something that resonates so that it makes sense for the person to be in your network or not? Okay, I'm gonna sneak one more in. Can I do one more? One more. Kara, can you see the people search bar and feature as job searches as well? Job searches. Good question. Can you see the people search? Oh, I'm a little confused by that one. Kara, do me a favor. Send me a note. I'm a little confused by just that. I don't really know what you refer to as a job search. A job search might be where you're looking at a job posting, and job postings have their own search filters that you can tighten it down, the search. So send me a note, Kara, if I didn't help you with that. But anyway, it's been a blast hanging out with you. And one more thing before we close, really it's the last question. And the question is, what's the one thing I should do on LinkedIn to have success? Somebody wrote that. You should consider a consultation, because everybody's situation is different. I do about 6 or 8 of these a week. That's all I got time for, but I do have times on weekends and nights. You need somebody like me to maybe get into your life and understand what your business is or what kind of job you're looking for, and critique your profile and get real specific about the keywords not being in the right places so that you're not coming up higher in searches. Go through some settings with you, do some searches for your own target audience. By the time we get done with an hour together, I mark up your profile. And then we spend that time together. You're going to not only have a marked up profile, we're also going to have done some really good searches and some other LinkedIn activities that I think are going to work for you. And I spend a lot of time strategizing before our call, because you send me information, your resume and or your business model, and I start thinking about what ways could help you on LinkedIn. And it's a power-packed 1 hour. And I've had 600 people take advantage of this over the last couple of years. And I'd love to have you involved too, because I think it'd be a game changer for you. So the information's up on the screen. This is how you sign up and get, and this is a Patina exclusive. I do not offer this kind of value for $250 to anyone other than people in the Patina Nation. So please take advantage of it. We've had lots of Patina Nation people enjoy it and say they really got good things out of it. So I look forward to talking to you real soon.
Yeah, thanks, Wayne. I have also gone through Wayne's strategy session and found tremendous value in it. There were so many aha moments for me. So I definitely encourage you all to sign up for that. By the end of the session, you'll start showing up at the top of your searches for the services that you provide, attract and engage people who need your products, skills, or services, and get decision makers to accept your connection request, along with a plethora of other deliverables from this strategy session. So I encourage you all, you'll receive an email after this webinar ends. It will have a post-event survey as well as a link to learn more about this strategy session or to sign up. You'll receive a replay of this webinar in the coming days, so I encourage you all to check that out as well. So thank you, Wayne, for joining us today. Right after this, we have an exclusive webinar for people who have already purchased Wayne's service. So that will be a very fun discussion with those people.
Thanks, Jesse.
So yeah, thank you. And thank you to all the Patina Nation members who were able to join today. We look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
This has been a presentation of the Patina Nation. To watch more content like this or for more information, please visit us online at www.patinanation.com.